everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Kathy and let's talk about some books. So I bought some more books. Again, like always, this is a collective haul. I didn't buy all of these books out at once, but this time it is maybe just split up into 3 or 4 different trips. Yeah, I am. If you saw in one of my previous videos, I am moving away soon. But before everything was finalized, I still ended up purchasing some books. These are probably going to stay here with my parents, and I hopefully will get to read them soon. So first I'll go through the books that I bought secondhand. I found Ulysses by James Joyce. This I believe I picked up for, I think like $8 or something, around there, under $10 for sure, which is more than 50% off the regular price if I were to buy this new. And it's in like pretty good condition, so I decided that this would be a good thing to pick up. Even though I don't really plan on reading it soon, it's something that I definitely want to read eventually, so I figured that I would pick it up and then it would be ready for whenever I wanted to tackle it. For Joyce, literature is the eternal affirmation of the spirit of man. Written between 1914 and 1921, Ulysses has survived bowdlerization, legal action, and bitter controversy. An undisputed modernist classic, its ceaseless verbal inventiveness and astonishingly wide-ranging allusions confirm its standing as an imperishable monument to the human condition. Declan Kibbard says in his introduction that Ulysses is an endlessly open book of utopian epiphanies. It holds a mirror up to the colonial capital that was Dublin on 16th of June 1904, but it also offers redemptive glimpses of a future world which might be made over in terms of those utopian moments. So yeah, I've heard I've heard obviously good things, but then I've also heard some opinions that it's like kind of overrated and not as good as, you know, the critics say and whatnot. So I'm interested in finding out. I have heard that it is quite experimental and not so typical. Like there are different chapters will be written in different styles. So I'm interested to read and experience this book. I do think I'll just need to either put aside, I feel like I either need to have a big block of time where I'm just free and I can just go through this book in a condensed period of time, or I have to set aside a longer period of time, but where I don't really read any other books and I just kind of work through this one. So we'll see. I think this will take some planning in terms of when I want to get around to this. But yeah, excited to read this, and I'm glad I found it at a used bookstore. So next, I also found A Passage to India by Forster. When Adela and her elderly companion, Mrs. Moore, arrive in the Indian town of Chandrapur, they quickly feel trapped by its insular and prejudiced British community. Determined to explore the real India, they seek the guidance of the charming and mercurial Dr. Aziz, a cultivated Indian Muslim. But a mysterious incident occurs while they are exploring the Marabar caves with Aziz, and the well-respected doctor soon finds himself at the center of a scandal that rouses violent passions among both the British and their Indian subjects. A masterly portrait of a society in the grip of imperialism, A Passage to India compellingly depicts the fate of individuals caught in the great political and cultural conflicts of the modern world. The introduction by Pankaj Mishra outlines Forster's complex engagement with Indian society and culture. This edition reproduces the Abinger text and notes, and also includes 4 of Forster's essays on India, a chronology, and further reading. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about the inclusion of the other of the essays and things. So I stumbled upon this, I think it was right after I read A Room with a View, also by Forster, and I really liked it. So I read it and I really enjoyed it. So when I saw this, also by Forster, I was like, ooh, let me pick that up. Yeah, I really liked his writing in A Room with a View, so hopefully I'll enjoy this as well. I do think, I'm not sure, we'll see with respects to like colonialism and things like that. We'll see how this reads and how it touches on that and addresses that. I think it'll be an interesting read. I also do have Howard's End already, so that's already on my list. And I think there's a new TV series based on Howard's End, so I think I'm excited about that too. So I don't know if I'll end up reading this first or Howard's End first, but either way, I'm excited to read both is what I'm getting at. Yeah, that's that. So I also found Dombey and Son by Charles Dickens. To Paul Dombey, business is all and money can do anything. He runs his family life as he runs his firm, coldly, calculatingly, and commercially. The only person he cares for is his little son, while his motherless daughter, Florence, craves affection from her unloving father, who sees her only as a base coin that couldn't be invested. As Dombey's callousness extends to others, from his defiant second wife Edith to Florence's admirer Walter Gay, he sows the seeds of his own destruction. Can this heartless businessman be redeemed? A compelling depiction of a man imprisoned by his own pride, Dombey and Son explores the devastating effects of emotional deprivation on a dysfunctional family and on society as a whole. In his introduction, Andrew Sanders discusses the character of Paul Dombey, business and family relationships in Dombey and Son, and their similarities to Dickens's own childhood. This edition also includes a chronology, further reading, appendices, notes, and the original illustrations by H.K. Brown. Yeah, I'm a fan of Charles Dickens. I've read Great Expectations and A Tale of Two Cities already, and was a fan of both in different ways, although I did like A Tale of Two Cities more, and I have a lot of his other works in various other editions. With this one though, I know I couldn't find it in the Penguin English Library or the Vintage Classics Charles Dickens editions. So I knew that before I came across this at the used bookstore. And so when I found it, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna, this is the only edition that I'll be likely to ever find and even buy it in. So I just decided to pick it up at the used bookstore. It's again in pretty good condition. There's only some creases and all that, but I don't mind that as much. And these, ooh, yeah, there's illustrations. Now I can't find it. Oh, here's another one. Yeah. And I don't dislike the Penguin Classics editions. These are fine. They are available. There are a lot of books available in this series, so I don't mind them at all. It's just I do prefer the look of the other ones. That's Dombey and Son. Yeah, moving on. And this next one was kind of a surprise find for me. I actually only recently heard about this book when I was doing my Books by Canadian Authors video. So for the blurb and all of that, you can check out that video. And I will have it linked in the cards above and in the description below. So it kind of worked out perfectly that I added the book to my TBR, and then I found this at the used bookstore. So of course I decided to pick it up. So that's everything I picked up secondhand. And then now moving on to books that I ordered new and that I bought new. With these next two, I might actually end up bringing them with me to the UK just because these are part of the Vintage Classics Virginia Woolf collection. I picked up these two too, I think. As of now, I believe I have completed this series. Let me know if there's something I'm missing, but I think these are all of the books that's available in this series. And I believe I have all of them. So I think it's a total of 7. So I have 5 others and then these 2, so 7 total. Let me know if you know there are any other books that I'm missing. So I picked up A Room of One's Own and The 3 Guineas by Virginia Woolf. This volume combines 2 books which were among the greatest contributions to feminist literature in the 20th century. Together they form a brilliant attack on sexual inequality. A Room of One's Own, first published in 1929, is a witty, urbane, and persuasive argument against the intellectual subjection of women, particularly women writers. The sequel, 3 Guineas, is a passionate polemic which draws a startling comparison between the tyrannous hypocrisy of the Victorian patriarchal system and the evils of fascism. Yeah, so I already have a copy of A Room of One's Own in the Penguin Classics edition, but I wanted to complete this series, but also since it came with 3 Guineas, which I haven't really seen sold separately as its own book. When I saw that this was part of this series, I just decided to pick it up as well. And yeah, it will make for a nice reread of A Room of One's Own, and then 3 Guineas sounds really interesting as well. Then to complete the series, I have The Years by Virginia Woolf. The Years follows the lives of the Pargeters, a large middle-class London family from an uncertain spring in 1880 to a party on a summer evening in the 1930s. We see them each endure and remember heartbreak, loss, radical change, and stifling conformity, marriage, and regret. Written in 1937, this was the most popular of Virginia Woolf's novels during her lifetime, and is a powerful indictment of Victorianism and its values. Interesting. I didn't know before that this was the most popular of her novels during her lifetime. So that's an interesting tidbit. It's also quite a bit longer than her other books. So yeah. Not much else to say. I love Virginia Woolf, although it's a little bit biased since I've only read A Room of One's Own, and then the only fiction that I've read of hers is To the Lighthouse, but I love To the Lighthouse, so I'm pretty confident that I will like the rest of her books. So yeah, that's these 2 to complete my collection, and I will probably end up bringing these 2 with me as well. Alright, so next I picked up 2 books by the same author, Moon Tiger by Penelope Lively. Claudia Hampton, a beautiful, famous writer, lies dying in hospital, but as the nurses tend to her with quiet condescension, she is plotting her greatest work, a history of the world, and in the process my own. Gradually, she recreates the rich mosaic of her life and times, conjuring up those she has known. There is Gordon, her adored brother, and Jasper, her charming, untrustworthy lover and father of Lisa, her cool, conventional daughter. Then there is Tom, her one great love, both found and lost in wartime Egypt. Penelope Lively's Booker Prize-winning novel weaves an exquisite mesh of memories, flashbacks, and shifting voices in a haunting story of loss and desire. So spoilers, I have already read this book. This book was on my A Classic a Month reading challenge list, so I had to quickly pick it up in time for me to read it. I did already finish it and I really liked it, but I'll be talking more about it in my quarterly review video. So yeah, I picked this up, and then while I was picking this up, I saw another book by her that I was intrigued by, so I picked that one up too, and that was Heat Wave by Penelope Lively. Pauline is spending the summer at World's End, a cottage somewhere in the middle of England. This year, the adjoining cottage is occupied by her daughter Teresa and baby grandson Luke, and of course Maurice, the man Teresa married. As the hot months unfold, Maurice grows ever more involved in the book he is writing, and with his female copy editor. And Pauline can only watch in dismay and anger as her daughter repeats her own mistakes in love. The heat and tension will lead to a violent, startling climax. In Heat Wave, Penelope Lively gives us a moving portrayal of a fragile family damaged and defined by adultery, and to the lengths to which a mother will go to protect the ones she loves. So yeah, honestly speaking, I was first drawn by the cover art. I think this is really pretty. But I did read the blurb and then I was intrigued as well. So this next book I already mentioned in my previous video, my Planning for Nonfiction November video that just went up. This is We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Yeah, so again, I will link that video in the description below as well, so you can check that out. I won't go too much into detail here, just because I already talked about it in that video. But essentially, it's an expanded and adapted essay from her TED Talk on the same name. So I guess if you're short on time, you don't want to read the book, I guess you can watch the TED Talk. But I decided to pick this up. It's a very short, like the text is very large. It's like not even a big book, but the text is large. I guess if they made the text any smaller, the book would be even like thinner and smaller. So maybe that's why they decided to go with a bigger text. But anyway, so yeah, I just figured this would be a really quick read, and you know, I agree with the sentiment. We should all be feminists. Next, I picked up The Sea by Iris Murdoch. Charles Arrowby has determined to spend the rest of his days in hermit-like contemplation. He buys a mysteriously damp house on the coast, far from the heady world of the theater where he made his name, and there he swims in the sea, eats revolting meals, and writes his memoirs. But then he meets his childhood sweetheart, Hartley, and memories of her lovely younger self crowd in, along with the more recent lovers and friends, to disrupt his self-imposed exile. So instead of learning to be good, Charles proceeds to demonstrate how very bad he can be. I picked this up because I was looking into the different vintage classics, like author editions. As you guys know, I have the set for Virginia Woolf, but Vintage Classics also does, they have a set for Jane Austen, and they have a set for the Bronte sisters, I think. But with those, I have most of those books already, and they have a set for Russian classics as well. But they also have a set for Iris Murdoch, and I haven't really heard much about her. All I know is she is a British author, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we'll see how I like this. Plus the cover arts on these are all really pretty too. They're a little bit more like modern, I would say, not as abstract as the Virginia Woolf ones. Plus, I believe this book is actually on my mom's list of books to read this year. She's also doing the Classic a Month reading challenge, but she picks a different set of books, and so I believe this book is on her list. Maybe she can read it and tell me how she likes it, because I am probably leaving this behind as well. Next, I picked up 2 more books from the Pocket Penguin line. Oh no, this one didn't, it kind of has these marks on it. That's okay. I guess we'll start with this one then. But I picked these up because, so I picked up the Master and Margarita in the Pocket Penguins, and I actually kind of liked the experience of reading from it. The pages are super floppy, like I mentioned before. And the smaller books, like I have smaller hands, and so the smaller books are quite easy for me to like hold with one hand. They're super light and easy to carry around. I also carry my books with me when I go out, like when I transit and things like that. So that also makes it easier. So I picked up The Beast Within by Emile Zola. The blurbs on these are all very short. So Zola's tense, gripping psychological thriller of adultery, corruption, and murder on the French railways is a graphic and violent exploration of the darkest recesses of the criminal mind. Ooh, I feel like this is gonna be a little bit like, almost like Crime and Punishment, I feel like, but it's a little bit less like the person's not gonna feel guilty about the crime. This sounds really intriguing. Maybe something for like, you know, fall or like October next year. It's got that like dark psychological thriller element to it. But yeah, I've never read Emile Zola. I know he's a very influential French author. Also with the pocket penguins, the color of the covers are basically the color of the covers show what language it's in. So I believe if they're orange, it's originally written and published in English. For the dark blue, it's French. I know Russian is red, and Chinese is this light green color. And then just off the top of my head, I think Kafka's Metamorphosis is like this light beigey taupe neutral color, so I guess that's German. They are color coded by language, which is nice. Okay, so then I also picked up The Age of Reason by Jean-Paul Sartre. I'm not going to pronounce it the proper French way, I can't do it. Following a Parisian philosophy teacher through the cafes and bars of Montparnasse over 2 days in the sweltering summer of 1938, Sartre's searing novel explores what it truly means to be free. Yeah, another philosophical type work to add to my growing repertoire and interest. Yeah, I mean, Sartre himself is a philosopher, I believe. Yeah, I think this will be interesting to read. I think it's always nice to have doses of philosophy in works of fiction, like in novels. Just a little bit less dry, I think. It adds a little bit of interest and you want to keep reading for the story, but you're also learning about philosophy. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to read these. I kind of want, now that I'm looking at, I kind of want to bring these too, but we'll see. So maybe I'll bring these instead of the Iliad and the Odyssey. So that's all of the books that I purchased recently, over the last few months or so. I've got all of these new books, as well as these second-hand books. I encourage everybody to have a look at second-hand bookshops. For me, it's just a little bit hard because I am quite particular about what editions I want my books in, and so it's hard to find that specific edition that I'm looking for each book. But still, I'm pretty happy with these 4 that I found. Again, let me know if you've read any of the books I purchased and what you thought of them, and if any of these books look interesting to you that you may want to purchase or add to your reading list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!